Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sunday Brunch with the Mayor, live from Wahoo Willie's on Fort Myers Beach. And now, ready to deliver all...
Has got his own issue to deal with.
All right, we're good. I think you guys can hear fine now on the Facebook. All right, you can take your phone out there. I don't want to mess things up. All right, sound is good now. Oh, you guys that are on Facebook, they missed the whole beginning. I'll fix it later so they can hear it next week. So,
Lord.
All right, before we get to the show,
This is what you spend your time with instead of like trying to build the business. You
yes,
fiddle around with silly stuff like that.
I am juvenile. There's no doubt about it. I'm totally juvenile.
That's true.
So before we
That's
get
true.
to our special presentation
You
of the
are so
morning,
loud compared
I
to
need
me.
to tell you a quick story about what happened this morning. Don't touch them.
Okay, are you
mechanics
going to
here,
tell the
please.
story?
Yeah.
You're going to out
So
yourself?
I wasn't feeling well this morning when I got up.
Oh, here we
I'm
go.
getting a little bit of a cold or
Here
something.
we
So
go.
my mind wasn't working like it usually does, firing on all pistons. So I left
too.
the house. Oh, hey guys. I left the house and I got to Alico where I go to the gym and realized I forgot my phone. Now, have you ever gotten to a
Something
situation
that's important for the show
where
to have
you-
your phone with you?
when you forget your phone, you think, wow, how do you communicate with somebody on the other end? Like, I thought, okay, I'll stop at a 7-Eleven and use the payphone at the 7-Eleven because I had a shitload of quarters. I could have easily, the 7-Eleven's a million years old, so I'm sure they still have a payphone.
Okay, let's go with that just for 1 second. So what's my phone number?
209-7927.
All right, I have to give it to you. I was surprised with that.
Yes. How dare you try and start the show by making me look
Yep. And now
stupider
I'm
than
gonna
I
get
am?
9,000 phone calls because you just put my phone number out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's usually easy. I admit, I'm surprised.
So I realize there's not going to be a payphone. So I figure I'm going to get to the gym by 7:00. I'll open up the laptop. I'll post something on Facebook for somebody to call Kim and say, pick my phone up. I forgot it. And I put it in a place. I knew I was going to forget it. I was charging it in a place where I never charge it. And I knew I was going to forget it. So I forgot it. So I get to the gym. I flip open my laptop. And I said, what's the Wi-Fi password? She goes, we don't have any Wi-Fi. So they have no Wi-Fi at the gym. It's the only gym I've ever been to that doesn't have Wi-Fi. So I'm like, it's not a big deal. I'll get to here by 8:00 and I can do the same thing here at 8:00. So I get to Wahoo Willie's at 8:00. I open up the laptop and I'm typing on Facebook. Can somebody please text Kim to grab my phone? And as I'm doing that, she's pulling down the street already. Like, she never comes to the beach that early. Why is she pulling down the street? So I have to delete that. No phone. And the only reason I wanted my phone was because I was supposed to do a walk around on the south end by Town Hall and by the Wyndham today. And I totally flubbed that because you left the house too early. Why did you leave the house so early?
See,
It's your damn fault.
This is how it comes around, ladies. Somehow it is always our fault.
Yeah, that's what
when
Jimmy
they
Buffett says.
Forget
Right?
something.
He always says that. No, and so what is the last thing you always ask me before you leave the house? What is it?
Do I have my phone?
No. Do you need anything?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if you would have texted me, do you need anything?
I
You would have
did.
heard my phone go off in the
I know
house.
I did. I texted you. I
Oh.
said, do you need the shirts from the...
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That you forgot last week. The shirt
Yeah,
you forgot
yeah.
last week.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yep. Drag me
So
down.
I
Drag me
apologize. I have to
down.
apologize to Alex King because he was the sponsor of the walk around this morning. So we'll do it next Saturday and Sunday. So before we get to the
This
show,
weather is fantastic.
yes, it is. Before we get to the show, I'm going to excuse you for a minute because I only brought 3 chairs and I have to have. You can sit in the big chair. I'm going to have Dave
that's
come
okay.
down and the mayor come down. Come on, Dave. This is a Vikings Green Bay Packers incident that took place. I don't know if it was last week or the week before. Dave Nussbaum is a Packers fan. They're from Wisconsin, and you all know the mayor's a Vikings fan. Apparently, they placed a bet, and the reason Dave's here is because he lost the bet, and he said he was going to do this before the show. And I said, there's no friggin' way you're doing it before the show. You're doing it on the show. So grab mic 2, and I'll put Dan's mic on. All right, Dave. So what was this? What was this all about?
Well, as you know, the Packers and the Vikings had a very intense game to determine who is going to win the NFC and who is going to be a wild card. And it meant a lot to the standings in the North Division of the NFC. So as we go into Minnesota, playing one of our arch rivals in the NFC North, I made a gratuitous gesture to the mayor saying that the winner of the game should get something from the loser, something that their state represented their state. Now, I told the mayor, I really don't want a salted whitefish that's inedible. If you can find something else behind that. I wasn't sure what Minnesota was famous for, but it is salted whitefish. Inedible, I might add.
Could have got you some lutefisk.
So, as it turns out, luck would have it, and Providence smiled down, and because of a last second field goal, the Packers lost the game. So there's always one in the crowd. So I texted the mayor and said, "What's your favorite cheese?" And he responded,
Gouda, smoked Gouda. I forgot the smoke part, but Gouda.
Now, how did you get?
Sure, now you come out with the
Now, how did
stuff.
you get the cheese while you're down here in Florida? Did you just go to Costco?
Well, it just so happens that there is a small artisan cheese plant in the town that I grew up with that produces Edam and Gouda.
Oh,
It's been there 100 years.
Wow.
of course you know that.
And
All right,
of
get to
course
the
I
point.
knew that.
Get to the point. For crying out loud, this is
Okay,
taking
so,
forever.
At any rate, I spent a career in the
All right,
cheese
open the box.
industry.
Come on.
I called them up.
Let's go. What do you
Now,
got there?
I do have to say that because of the game and because of Christmas, apparently Gouda is treasured by a lot of Minnesotans. So when I contacted the plant, they said, we're fresh out of balls of Gouda because of Christmas presents. So I got the next best thing, Gouda's cousin, Edam cheese. So what that is a red ball of Edam. If you remember from the 12 cheeses of Christmas, there were
Oh, no,
8
we're not
ball-
singing that again.
there were 8 balls of cheese. I tried to get a red wax jumbo Gouda, but they were completely out of
How many
Gouda.
calories is in that ball of cheese?
I don't. a
Does it
lot.
say it on
I
there?
can't. I don't know. I can't read it.
Oh, it says it on there.
I don't know if it does, but it's very small writing.
Protein, 7 grams. Let's see. Calories, 100 calories per serving. There are,
1 ounce serving.
Is that what it is?
That's-
Yeah, you're good.
dude, you're not going to shit for a year when you eat that thing.
You're assuming I'm going to get any of this. My wife loves cheese.
Oh, she does.
Yeah.
What does Gouda cheese taste like?
A lot like Edam.
Edam cheese. Yeah.
It's
I've never had Edam cheese.
they're like
So-
cousins.
So
They're both
let's
from the Netherlands.
enough
and-
about cheese. Let's talk football. So tonight the Packers play the Philadelphia Eagles. What's the spread on that game?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Packers are going to win.
Oh, you think so? Would you like to wager a bet on that? I see a onesie right there. If the Packers lose tonight, you want to wear the onesie? Yeah, wear it like a sweater. Very nice, or a bib. Very nice.
Oh, dear.
Take that. If they see that back in Wisconsin, you're never going to be allowed back to that
No,
state.
This is going
You're a
to
good. You're a good.
this
Yes.
is going to break into flames in about 10 seconds.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
We're just rubbing off good luck on you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dave. Dave Nussbaum, everybody. I got it. And by the way, when we do our shows, for those of you that have no idea what we do our one show a year in Wisconsin. We go to Appleton and Mayberry, right? Where the first place was Mayberry, or We've gone to Appleton and at the Fox River Brewing Company in Appleton. And we stay at their house. It's a beautiful log cabin on Loon Lake. And we do a kayaking race every year. And 2 years in a row, I whooped their ass at the kayaking race.
First of all, we didn't get to do it last year. And the first year, I crushed you.
Yeah, I was
And
so
Dave
far ahead.
was-
Dave called 911 thinking he
No,
drowned. I was just
Dave
all the way on the other side of the
concerned
lake.
about You had no idea what you were doing.
Now
We're
you're
going to videotape that. Right.
you got to turn his mic on, dear. Come on. You got it. You got
Number
it.
3. There we go.
What is with the feedback with you today?
I think
think
that's
it's
too
just-
loud over there.
Really?
I'll fix it. I'll fix it. Go ahead.
I gave you guys a chance. I told you.
All right. Yeah. Oh, the Vikings game. So yeah, we got to. Tore his knee up and never was the same again after that. So that was the first game that we ever went to in the US Bank Stadium. That was actually a non preseason game. And it was fun. We got to meet the announcer. That was kind of cool. We got to take a picture of him, the guy that's got that deep voice.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
announcer.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. We got
Sweet.
to walk the entire stadium by accident. So we went in the That's why I don't gamble, because if it wasn't for bad luck, I'd have no luck.
Can I tell you about the gambling thing? Like, we were watching the football games last night, and everything is about getting people addicted to gambling now. It's like the pregame show, they were
Commercial.
talking about the DraftKings, and then every time
Yeah.
a commercial comes on, they make it seem like you're never going to lose. I mean, even if you lose once, well, we'll redo the first bet so you can keep betting. It's like,
Well, anyone that's ever been around a gambler or someone that really likes to gamble, they like to tell you about all the times that
That's
they win,
Right.
but you never hear about the losses. It's always about the wins.
Yep.
I wonder if
No.
someone's ever actually taken a tally. Like, here's what I've lost. If you like to gamble, good on you. It doesn't bother me. But how much you've lost and how much you've actually won. I wonder
Well,
if someone's
I
ever
mean, I
kept a
think
spreadsheet.
that's how Las Vegas gets supported
Well,
because there's just no way
Right.
that
right, those
not me.
buildings
I go
are
out there, I
there.
spend my money. If I spend it and lose it, I'm done. But if I win, I walk away. I don't, even if I'm playing poker, I don't care if those people hate on me. If I take your money, if I get it, I'm leaving with it.
Yeah,
You remember you guys, I don't know if you've ever watched the show Yellowstone, but there was a segment in there where the leader of the tribe was
Mhm.
speaking to the Dutton, and he's like, I'm going to buy your land back with your people's money.
Yeah. And my uncle, I'm sure he doesn't mind us saying this. He goes to Las Vegas once or twice a year, and he takes like $30,000. And he's like, if I come back with it, I come back with it. If I don't, I don't. If you don't have that attitude, you can lose your mind because you'll be calling 1-800 I'm addicted.
Yeah.
Otherwise, but he gets free rooms and the whole thing. I think he likes,
Well,
to be
I'll
considered
tell you,
one of those people.
one of the last times I really ever gambled, this was long time ago before I moved down here. My girlfriend at the time, we went to Vegas, and the first night we were out, again, I was never a big gambler, so we didn't gamble much, but same thing. You only take so much money. And if I lose it, I lose it. It's, but it wasn't a huge amount of money, but at the time it was a lot of money. To me, it was a lot of money. So we were getting in the cab to ride back to the hotel, and somehow the money switching hands from me to her. I was trying to hand her some money and she didn't grab it or whatever. Anyway, the entire amount of money that I brought with me was lost.
Yeah.
Oh,
You lost it in the cab.
Except for $100. So needless to say, that was a very
Expensive.
long couple days, right? But the next day went down to, I think it was called the Sahara. That's no longer there.
Right.
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 So we went down to the Sahara and sat down at the bar and we're, having a drink. But to get free drinks, you had to play the quarter,
Yeah.
right.
whatever. So just on a whim, I had the last 4 quarters and I hit the jackpot and won twice the amount of money that I lost the night
well,
before
then
back.
Wow.
that is,
Yeah.
then you do have good luck.
I think
That's the last time I had any luck.
The last time I gambled was like, what was it? 30 years ago. And
The
I
last Ollie
lost
Fra-
that bet.
the
for
last
sure.
Ollie Frazier fight is what you bet on.
I need
No.
to rephrase that statement before I get
Yeah,
punched
no
in the side of the
kidding.
head.
No, the thing too is when you go to the blackjack table, like I was playing blackjack one time, just a while ago. They give you free drinks because that's what they want you to do. They want you to get drunk because they keep bringing you free drinks because then you don't know if you're winning or losing. I'm like, I think I'm winning. I'm not really sure, but I love that drink that had no soda in it whatsoever. It's like-
Well,
You are not allowed because you are not good at it and you get cranky about it. And it just takes the whole
because
fun out of it.
I was the kind of person that thought, if I just play one more hand, I can win it all back. And that's when you
That's
know
called
you have
addiction.
to. Yeah, that's when you know you have to never ever gamble. It's like
well, one more quick story about Vegas. So it was right after 9/11. It was the Christmas after 9/11. So a couple months later, I was taking all the guys that worked for me at the time, paying for their trip out to Vegas. They had to bring their own spending money, but I was taking them out to Vegas. And we get through the line. The 6 or 7 of us get through the line. There's one guy that's kind of standing on the other side. And this is the time they still had the sniffing dogs and the armed guys walking through the whole, the airports and stuff. And all of a sudden he's standing. He won't come through the checkout. And we're looking at him like, what's going on? What's going on? He calls me. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to go. I'm like, what do you mean you're not going to go? I'm not going to go. Okay. So he literally left and got in a cab and walked away. Found out later the reason he didn't want to go, he was trying to smuggle pot in his shoe.
very nice.
Through the
What kind of
I'm
people
like,
you hang out with,
well,
man?
he didn't work there very long after that. But I'm like, what? It's 3 months after 9/11. What did you
think was going to happen? Right.
You think they're
Right.
just gonna let you walk through with a bag of pot in your shoe?
Sir, what do you got in your shoe there? It's like, wow, crazy. So before we get to I want to ask you about what you thought of the DOA meeting, but I covered the magistrate meeting. Howie was just here. I don't know if you guys know Howie. It looks like he left. He's the guy that runs the senior softball league.
Yeah.
So I get out of the DOA meeting on Tuesday, and they're out on the field playing softball on the Little League field. And they're all yelling at me as I come out of the town trail. They said, Ed, come on over and play. Come on over and play. And, you're competitive, even though you're going to be 60. You're competitive and you want to get out there. And I was just like, what? It's just going to take one throw. Well, I'll never be able to move my shoulder again. So I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. And they're having the grand old time out on that field. And there's 50 players out in the outfield. There's no way to get hit because there's everybody that comes to the games plays. And you bat once a week. That's the way it works. But
if you ever
have
have
a great
chance
time.
to watch them, it's pretty fun to watch these guys go out there. Just have a good old time. They used to, that's the 2 hours of napping, 2 hours of playing, 2 hours of drinking.
Yeah.
They used to go to the Shamrock all the time after that. And
yeah.
that's now gone, which I hope somebody listening finds
Brings
out who
that
owns
back.
that place. I mean, that'd be cool to build back the Shamrock. I think
Oh,
you could
man.
do it there.
Not
Yeah.
in a
You could build
trailer.
it at great. No, it's not the bar down below, and you could build a rental unit above it or something. Because I think that'd be cool to have something iconic come back.
part of
And people would come.
Oh, for sure.
I think people
yeah.
will come from. I mean, it's
So-
a great little.
So
spot.
listen, I need to tell the story.
Oh, for the
Okay,
love
there
of
were two
God.
stories. We love that people come back like to the SOB. Like, I don't know if you all that have gone to the SOB have seen how close it is to the way it was. It's almost identical to the way
Yeah.
it was. Yet somebody came into the SOB yesterday. I'm not going to tell the cracker story, or I'll wait. Maybe I will tell the cracker story. I mean, the person's not a cracker. It had to do with crackers. But the person comes in and he goes, hey, why did you redo the bar like this? And so she's trying to explain, well, because it gives us more room because we're expecting more people to come in. And then he goes, well, there used to be 2 bathrooms. Why are there 3 bathrooms? I mean, the guy came in just to bitch about every little thing. It
bathrooms are
wasn't
fantastic.
exactly the same. So I don't know if anybody's heard this. Fort Myers Beach is never going to go back to the way it was. Never
that's as
going
close
to go
as-
back to the way it was.
SOB is
Yeah,
about as close
if you
as
go
you're
to the
gonna get.
SOB, it's pretty effing close to the way it was. Stop bitching about everything.
I never knew anybody that enjoyed the bathrooms at the SOB before the store. They were very
And they
small.
have Charmin for crying out loud.
And they're cold. I mean, if it's a hot day, it's a funny story about the SOB. We met.
We're not doing any issues today, people. We're
No,
just
look
telling
at it.
stories
No, this-
today.
This is not how it usually goes.
What made,
but-
No,
what
it
made
is.
funny was we were at Point Bell Brewery having a beer with Bruiser. Was it Friday night or whatever? And the guy walks in with an SOB hat on. He's got his little dog, and he sits down at the corner next to us. And Megan's like, "SOB, you love that place, huh?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I was there when it was BYOB before they got their liquor license." So of course we start striking up a conversation with him. Find out he lives like 3 doors down from us. He just bought the house. It was just a small
wow.
world. Yeah.
On the beach.
On the same street as
Oh,
us,
cool.
just 3 doors down from us. Yeah.
Oh man. So what was the other thing I wanted to bring up? Oh, dang it. A story. I had a story.
Storytelling with Ed.
Oh, I know this is.
You can't do it though because his memory's so bad. So.
If I don't write it down on my sheet, on my cheat sheet, I
Is
can't
that your
remember.
sheet from yesterday about your stupid pigeon story?
Did you guys hear the pigeon story yesterday?
They did.
Okay.
Make it short.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a little more information if you did hear it. So I was reading the New York Times because I read the New
Even
York
Dawn
Times.
Manthy's rolling her eyes at this
And so
point.
there's this guy that bought. Here's where the pigeon thing came from. There's this guy that bought the Enron trademark. Like you all remember Enron, like Rick, total Ponzi scheme. So the guy bought Enron, he bought the trademark, and he's launching it as like a spoof. So he launches it as a spoof, and of course, when you put it on social media, people think it's real. So people think Enron's coming back. So the New York Times did an interview with the guy, and he's telling everybody about how he's just trying to be funny, and he's actually pretty funny. And so at the end, he goes, if I can get people to believe that pigeons were created by the government so they can spy on people, then I can get people to believe Enron. And he goes, because have you ever seen a baby pigeon? I mean, has anyone ever seen a baby pigeon? No, they're giant pigeons. And all they do
We'll go
is
through this
they
again.
just show up in New York City, and they're basically spying on people. It's the government has released these pigeons so that they can
This is
spy
what
on
I
you.
have to live with.
And there's because
this
you don't
is what
see
I'm living
because
with.
you don't see if you watch TV shows, you see the
I
lion.
can't keep enough aluminum
Seriously.
foil in the house
You
to
see,
cover his
if you go to
head.
Africa, you see the big giraffe protecting the little giraffe, or you see the big hippopotamus protecting the little hippopotamus. You never see a group of big pigeons with baby pigeons protecting the baby pigeons.
You're an idiot.
Never. There's no such thing as a baby pigeon.
Maybe
And
at a
I looked
magic
at your
show.
website. It was a spoof website. It wasn't even real. There's no such thing as a baby pigeon. So next time you see a pigeon, you have to realize
So they're just born full-grown pigeons.
they're not
Thank
real,
you for
Dan.
coming.
Oh, they're
Save
fake.
yourself.
The pigeons are
Have
not
a
real.
great rest of your day.
They're like drones. The
Oh.
pigeons are like
They're
drones.
pigeon drones.
So that's where that all came from. It was in the New York Times. If it's in the New York Times, it's
It must
obviously
be
the truth. Yeah. So, the other thing I realized yesterday that I was talking about how now I feed the
Ooh.
birds and I look for the rabbit out in our backyard. So I'm talking about birds and rabbits and pigeons. And I'm thinking, that's what old people do. They talk about birds and pigeons and rabbits. And I'm like, holy shit, I've crossed to the other side. I'm an old fart.
Well, I'm waiting for you to cross the real other side, but
Oh,
Can
man.
I want to make one more business pitch out there. I'm never going to be able to do it, but if somebody's paying attention, I talked about the shamrock already.
Right.
One other thing I think would be really
how are you going to
cool.
tie this pigeon thing
It
in?
has
my
nothing
friend?
to do with pigeons, but it does have to do with animals. There's a place up in St. Petersburg called Mutts and Martinis, and it's a
What's a muff? Wait a second. That could go south real fast.
it's those warmer things that you put on your ears.
That's what I was thinking.
But if you get a chance to look it up, it's an indoor-outdoor concept bar restaurant with a dog play area with a splash pad.
What
out
a
there.
great idea.
It's super cool, right? We need one on the beach called Paws and Pints.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I know what I was thinking about earlier. Thank
no,
you for.
I like that's a good idea.
So
And
here-
it could be like a brewery where someone makes beer.
Yes.
And Paws and Pints.
So here's what I was thinking: the Beach Talk Radio brewery. Like we have a little windowsill where we do the show, and you and Bruiser are in the back brewing beer,
And
and
we'll
we have a
have
little.
dogs.
It's
Don't
like the
forget Trey.
smallest bar on Fort
And
Myers
Trey.
Beach.
And Trey.
We sell our merchandise, and we just.
where dumbassery medals are
That's
handed
right.
out daily.
Speaking
And
of
dogs.
dumbassery,
And
I don't know if you
dogs.
guys saw yesterday. I posted the picture of the county, or it's not the county, it was the state sign that said "Caution," like they want you to be cautious as you're coming over the bridge. So I posted that on Facebook. Well, it's spelled correctly today. They somehow they inserted the U on a Saturday, so it says
Now-
caution now.
Now you led
Go
me
ahead,
into
go
the
ahead.
bridge,
Yes.
and I just want to say thank you to those who were involved in fixing those red-orange barricades up, because for
Yes.
weeks it's been cattywampus. But yesterday it was
I gotta write that word
completely
down.
down. I mean, for weeks we've been
You
walking
spell it right?
on that bridge,
doubt it.
like super narrow because it's all bendy, like a bendy road. Anyways, it was down yesterday. It was hanging over the bridge, blah, blah, blah. I completely lost my mind. For me, it was like,
Yeah,
it
she's been
this
on
is
edge lately.
ridiculous about that. So we got a hold of you. We got a hold of David Malacca. I don't know who else was involved, but that thing now,
By
it
the
is
time the show
set-
was over, when she
Yep.
went back over, it was
it
fixed.
was set up. It is straight You could drop a plumb line. You could snap a plumb line. It's perfectly.
What does that mean? Snap a plumb
It's
line.
so you can make a straight thing. So you can make it straight and even.
Yeah.
It's
Here's
perfectly
why-
aligned. Wait.
Stop
And the
kicking me.
sidewalk is really big now. So you people that are walking their bike over, you can fit. You don't feel like you're going to have to jump into the bay to
The
get out of
rebar
the
lane.
way. So thank you a million times for getting it done.
Obviously, I saw your.
You can tell who
So
was responsible.
you guys must have reached out to David Maleka, Commissioner Maleka, and he called me and I said, yeah, I'm aware of it. I'm actually heading there now to take a look at it. Because from your
It was
video,
bad, right?
yeah, from your video, it looked like it was very unsafe and people were trying to move barricades and ride their bikes around them, and people were walking sideways along the barrier, and one of them were actually hanging out over the edge that could fall in the water. So I called Andy, and Andy got our staff out there right away to start
Town
putting
manager,
together.
just so everybody
Yeah,
knows
And
who
it's
Andy
not
is.
Hi, town
it's
manager.
not yours. It's not the town's
No,
responsibility,
but it's
right?
safety, right?
Right.
If we've got,
No, I know.
called him. I said, how many guys we got working today? He said, we have 3 guys. And I told him what was going on. He said, that's exactly what they're here to help. So they went out and started on it. And then by the time I came back, it looked like there was an FDOT truck there because there was a white truck now parked on it that had lights on it. Didn't say FDOT on it, but there was obviously a truck there that was there to
Headlights.
assist.
So
They got it done. I think it was a team effort.
So let me ask you a question, Dan. I think that I don't know if it helped that we had the pictures and she had the video to get it done quicker. Maybe it did. Maybe they would have done it anyway. But so my question is, how does the average person who doesn't have your email or phone number? I mean, what is
Right.
what is the? I don't mean to say average person, but what is the person that's just walking up the bridge do? Who do they call? How do they get in touch with somebody to let them know, hey, this is unsafe? It's not like there's a sign with a phone number on it.
Well, I think if you find out, the best thing to do, whatever it is, in this case, it was these down barriers. But if it's something that's unsafe, call the non-emergency number for the Lee County Sheriff's Office.
Gotcha.
They'll get a
find
hold
the
of
right
us.
person.
They'll find the right person because it could be a county thing, it could be a town thing, it could be a state thing. But
That's
in
the
this
wrong
case-
answer, Dan. The right answer is take a video of it and send it to me.
No.
Because I'm going to mock people.
You know,
I mean-
it's funny. Every single golf cart that I deliver, I tell the exact same speech to the exact same people. Don't drive on the beach. Don't drive on the sidewalk. Don't do this. And I said, trust me. If you do, I will have a picture on my phone within 10 minutes of you doing it. And they're like, there's no way. And trust me, someone's done it.
Yes.
And then they wonder why I'm showing up to take away their golf cart because they didn't listen to me when I told them you can't do that.
And
And
that-
I'd show them the picture and they, you told me
And
not to.
I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but that's
Sure you
why
do.
the relationship that we have with the community is like, we get sent stuff all the time and not everything gets sent on. Some of it's like, okay, that you're getting crazy now. You're just complaining to complain, but there are some things like you're not allowed to drive a golf cart on a sidewalk. That's just an unsafe situation for walkers
Or
and
a bike
bikers.
lane. Or
Yeah.
a bike lane.
And so the citizen journalists, they're sending us stuff all the time, which really is what makes what we do. I don't have to leave the house all the time. So it really makes it the
Yeah,
kind
we-
of relationship that we have.
And
And we
if
don't take advantage of it either. We really do
No.
appreciate what we've created here with the
I-
folks.
I have. This was probably about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. We rented a golf cart to a guy on well, it doesn't matter the street, but anyway, within an hour and a half, I get a call. I was trying to get to the beach and I'm stuck. Like, what do you mean you're stuck? I'm stuck in the sand. I said, well, you should never be in the sand. I told you that 2 hours ago. Well, long story longer. Come to find out, he thought he was going to be able to drive through private property at the end of his street, through a house, someone's private property on the beach to get to the beach because he didn't want to carry his beach chairs
Oh,
that 150 feet from the road to the beach. He's like, well, it was a beach access. I said, well, I know every beach access and none of them have sand on them. So you must have drove through the beach access. Again, come to find out it was a person's property and he had it buried to the footboard. So I had
how'd
to
you
call
get that out?
So I had to call Tim and I had to call Megan. And of course, traffic's backed up. So, of course, our names are all over the cart. So, my phone's going off. Hey, you're driving down the beach. We're on our way. We were there within 10 minutes of hearing about it. So I'm like, I called Megan. I'm like, can you bring me a shovel? I'm going to need a shovel to get out.
Because
So
I'm
now-
going to have to bury the
Well, so
body
now-
of this
so now
idiot
I'm-
that drove it.
So now I'm livid, right? And Megan's got to wait in traffic. It's backed up to Publix. So I'm out there with my foot and my hands like a dog. And I'm digging this thing out by hand. So Tim, my partner, finally shows up, and by then I had it all dug out, and then he and I had to push it, and it would get stuck, and we'd dig it out again. We'd have to put. He was in there a ways, and it wasn't like he just went and got stuck. It's like he actually told me, he's like, I felt myself getting stuck, and then I got stuck more, and then I was really stuck. I said, well, the first time
Why
I
didn't
should
you
have
just
told
stop?
you to stop.
Yeah.
But he was in there
Not
almost
keep
all the way to the
spinning those
beach.
wheels and digging a bigger hole.
Yeah. So,
So it
don't
was a
drive your
hot
golf.
mess.
Oh, there's my bird, my red bird.
Yep.
So yesterday I put
Cardinal.
the bird feed out. We have this little tree out the back, and I put the bird feed out because I like to see the rabbit. I sit with my blanket
Evidently,
on and
we're seeing a lot of
my
squirrels.
my
Squirrels.
hot
All right.
tea, and I watch the rabbit eat the bird food. And so now there's a squirrel. The squirrel is eating the bird food, and the crows come from everywhere. And the squirrel could give a crap about the crows. He's not scared. I think the rabbit is scared by the crows.
Well,
the crows
I'm scared of the
do
crows. It's
not
like
scare
a nightmare out
the
there.
squirrel. So now, okay, I've had
I'm
enough
scared of this
of this. I've had enough of the crows. The crows are so loud I can't hear the football game on TV. So I get out there and I sweep all the expensive bird feed into the trees, and the birds and the crows go up into the tree now, and now they're like singing
It's
songs
like a
in the tree that you
cacophony
I can't hear the
bird.
football game. So now I'm throwing rocks in the neighbor's yard to try
That's
and get
not
the
true.
I was pebbles. I was throwing pebbles. Your uncle used to shoot. He used to shoot marbles at them.
For all the
Those
PETA
were
members out there,
turkeys,
it's
and
Ed
Utah
at-
is different.
No, listen. Crows are not a government conspiracy.
Just
They're
when you
baby
were gonna
crows,
get
just not
in-
baby pigeons.
Just when you were going to get into the Audubon Society, now you're
Please.
kicked right out. PETA is going to be at our house.
Yeah.
I like the little red bird, and there's a blue. What's the bluebird? The bluebird. He's
The
a little
bluebird.
plumpier. Looks almost
A
like a
bluebird.
Are you
pigeon.
calling him fat?
And then the crows.
Oh,
but the
the
crows.
mourning dove. The
Oh
mourning
my
dove.
gosh.
That's a big bird.
I'm gonna be one of those guys that goes to a retirement home and sitting in one of those chairs, and
Ed
throwing
Schoonover has now lost all respect for
and
you.
throwing bread out so I can see the pigeons. And I'm
It's
going
like,
to
what do I
talk to
have
the
to do with
pigeons
this?
because I know whatever I say to the pigeons is going right back to Washington.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Right with the baby pigeons.
Oh,
well, this is more of a Saturday show.
thank
Shall
you
we
all for
get
coming
into-
today. We
Yes,
appreciate
that's great.
your.
Thank you, and you got a lot of
So-
information
I'm
about
doing
what's
just
going
fine.
on.
So the first thing I want to say is I sent a text to somebody.
Wait, this is the longest time you've made it through the show without being in the hot seat.
Right.
I mean,
We haven't talked about a single issue yet, but it's been fun. So now let's turn the tables a little bit. No, the first question is, you had a meeting with FDOT, and I sent a text to somebody that lives close to the bridge last night just to make sure the lights on the bridge. That's what we talked about 7 days ago, folks. Was the lights on the bridge?
It's been a
There
couple of
are
weeks.
lights on the bridge that are not on. Last night, I asked the person that I know, are the lights on? She looked out the window and said no. Why aren't the lights on the bridge?
I can't answer that. I can tell you, we obviously brought it to their attention. They are fully aware of it. They said they're going to get their team on it to get it turned on. I don't know if it's just they were turned off or what the reasoning is behind it, but everybody that needs to be aware of it is aware of it.
Mhm.
I can't control how fast they turn the lights on, but I can definitely make sure we keep the pressure on them to get them on.
So you had the meeting on Tuesday with FDOT. You called the meeting. You had
Well, the
Well-
meeting we had, it was with the contractors. It wasn't with actual FDOT. The only FDOT person really there was the PIO. So they're fully aware. They did not know that the lights weren't on. So that was the first they
The
had heard of it.
PIO didn't know,
The
or
PIO didn't really say much. She took a lot of notes and she followed up with us, like making sure these are the items that we wanted addressed.
or
But
the contractors didn't know.
the contractors were not aware that. the
So what
lights
you're
were on.
saying is there are no decision makers that could actually flip the switch on at your meeting.
There was not, no.
Okay.
And I don't know that they can flip the switch. FPL controls those lights to be on and off, I would think. But it's got to come from FDOT to get them to turn them on.
So one of the first things I was talking to the staff about here was the Prescott and Buttonwood light, which remains a regular traffic light.
Mhm.
FDOT promised the town that when season started, that traffic light at Prescott and Buttonwood was going to alternate like it
Stay
used to
alternating.
for 100 years before
Yeah.
the construction
It's
started.
not.
I got it at the light today, green lights, and this is what happens when it gets busy. People race past the light, and then there's going to be a road rage incident when those people on the right try and get in.
Or they block the Buttonwood
Yeah.
Prescott intersection. So if you are trying to get on or off Prescott or Buttonwood, you can't because there's.
So what's
The
the
traffic.
when is that going to be turned?
They said there's something with it's not reading correctly.
Duh.
Well, somebody
it's not
can't read it
recognized.
FDOT.
Well,
Cation.
it's not picking up the cars. They were aware of that
Sorry.
issue. and they're looking into it.
I mean, do you realize how ridiculous this sounds that we have to ask the same questions? Like, don't they realize how important all that is to the beach?
Well,
Who's not telling them it's not?
Well, it's not only it's important to the beach, like for business or whatever, but again, it's a safety issue,
Well,
especially those lights.
again, and this is why it's fortunate that we have a good relationship with the county. Is both.
Well, don't let us. Oh yeah, with the county.
I've
Yeah,
spoken
yeah.
with Commissioner Maleka, and and I know Andy has spoken with Dave Harner, and they're working on their end to help us get this alleviated because they understand it's a severe safety risk.
And I
mean,
just,
we're gonna have to put like candles at each side of the bridge for people to carry them over, like we're in the 1850s.
That's a great idea. No, I don't think some kind of seance or something.
Yeah, torches.
Yeah.
And pitchforks. Get the lights on.
I do want to say, and he doesn't have to respond to me at all. I mean,
Who?
David Maleka, but
No.
the last two things that I sent to him, he was on it right away, and I'm sure he's
We
communicating with you
appreciate
about
it,
it. And
yeah.
I'm not saying that Ray didn't do the same thing. I'm just saying that this continuation of what feels like excellent representation for Fort Myers Beach. I sent him the video of what you were doing. I sent him he got a chuckle out of the light, or out of the sign being misspelled. I mean, if you have one job to spell one word, I mean, come on.
Well, I will
And
tell
an
you, I'm not
important-
the
an
greatest at
important word.
punctuation and
I mean,
spelling,
give me
so I'm not gonna rip on somebody for making a
Yeah.
mistake like that. I don't know who did it. Who
It's
programmed
fixed
the sign.
today, by the way, everybody. The
Right.
sign is now, it says caution.
All right, moving on
Could
with
have
your
said, it could have
petty
said much
complaints.
worse.
Yeah.
Don't you have anything better to do with your
Did you,
life?
have you ever watched Saturday Night Live when they do the Jeopardy skits and they have Sean Connery on and they put the categories at the top, and when Sean Connery picks one of those categories, it's going to be vulgar because he takes whatever the category is and he rejiggers the words. It's so hilarious. I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but it's funny as shit.
Just to finish up that FDOT meeting, the other things that we discussed in
Google
there
it. Google it.
is someone
You're
please tell
done.
me if I'm mistaken, but in all the renderings and all the discussions that I remember having about the roundabout area, there were going to be plantings that were going to be taken care of by Margaritaville. And now if you notice at the base of the bridge, all those medians are filled with concrete. And my question was, well, that's supposed
Not
to
what
be
you said.
plantings.
Right.
And the construction team said, we didn't know anything about that. I said, well, that's what we were told. And otherwise, what's the point of having a crosswalk that zigzags through the median if they're just going to walk across the concrete?
Well, maybe
anyway?
they're going to put up fake plants. Maybe that was their plan.
Well, let's hope not. I mean, can you imagine?
I
putting
hope
pots up?
not, but I mean,
So
I'm
they're
trying
gonna-
to throw
they're gonna
them a
ask about
bone.
that. And then the piece of good news so in the project, there will be new lighting coming over the bridge that will be replaced. There'll be new
Sure.
lighting. It's in the scope of work. They actually sent us the actual as-built plans, or the
But
plans that are going to be the as-built.
Before people will die on the bridge before the new
Well,
lights get
because-
installed,
but
because
a
there are
positive-
old lights
A
there.
positive thing they did tell us is probably within the next month to 6 weeks. This is their time frame. It wasn't specific, but the sidewalk on the beach side that right now everybody's got to cross over.
Mhm.
They're expecting in the next 4 to 6 weeks to have that where the buses turnout's going to be by the volleyball fields at Crescent Park. They're hoping to have that section done so people can at least stay on that side.
Well,
of
it's
the road.
always a good thing that eventually work gets done, because if you live by where we
They're
live
actually
and you
moving-
try to go
they're
down
moving pretty
Colonial and Tree Line, or is it Colonial and 6 Mile, whatever that is,
Yeah.
that I don't know what the hell's going on there, but that is being, if you thought traffic was bad here, just go over there. Just
Oh,
take a
this
road
diverging
trip. Just take a
diamond.
diverging diamond. I want to know the engineer that came up with that brilliant
well,
concept.
I haven't
but-
been through it yet, but I've heard it's.
Woo!
It's a heads up sort of situation. You really have to be paying
Oh, and the
attention.
other thing we talked
but
to
it
them
got done
about-
quickly. Then
The other thing we
Please,
talked to them
dear,
about
way
to help
faster.
with traffic, because obviously that's the hot topic, is getting someone at the base of the bridge from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock at the San Carlos intersection down here to help keep that traffic moving, because now we only have one lane on, one lane off. We don't have that turn lane anymore. So when traffic is backed up there, everybody trying to turn to the right to find a place to park, there's no through traffic. So we're looking at getting someone there that can direct traffic at the high times between say 10 and 2, and then move them over to 5th and Crescent from say 3 to 7, where they can keep traffic flow moving. We've been doing it. We can only do it at 5th and Crescent because it's an uncontrolled intersection. There's a whole bunch of legal beagle stuff in there, but we can have our rangers do it, but we got to pay them overtime. So-
Dan, here's the
can
thing.
you take a volunteer? I can see him out there with his
I
yellow
wish.
flag.
So we're looking to try to get someone at 5th and Crescent and for the afternoon, and at the light at Crescent, to be able to keep people moving. Because even at Crescent, turning onto Crescent, if the light's red, you could still turn right. But people sit there and they just wait for the light to turn green before they go. So if having someone there keeping that moving, and then having somebody down at 5th and Crescent keeping that moving, obviously we're still having issues, even though FDOT was gracious enough to push that no left-hand turn as you're going to the bridge off of 5th. People, I saw it yesterday morning, sitting there waiting to make the U-turn because they didn't know to get downtown.
So let me ask you this, Dan, about that. In past years, the town has been prepared to have LCSO directing traffic at different points during season. There's a contract that had been in place. The LCSO has, the guys by Margaritaville or wherever they were set up even here.
There's two issues with that. That budget is only so big, and that budget is there for special events, 4th of July, Shrimp Festival, that kind of thing. It's not there for this. And according to Andy, I'm not a town manager, so I don't know, but evidently there is a plan that's supposed to be in place with every Florida road project to mitigate traffic. And we haven't seen that plan from them yet. So we asked for that to see if we could, what was the plan to keep traffic moving? We haven't seen that. So our people are willing to do it, but it comes at an overtime expense to our taxpayers. So it's not fair that this isn't our project. Why should our taxpayers?
That's not what I mean. I know you guys are looking into that, but in past years, the LCSO has had deputies with a town contract.
Sure.
Can
it be done? Sure, but it's much more expensive.
No,
and it also comes down to the LCSO have the resources to do it.
What are you looking at me like that for?
I don't know why you're not getting it.
I am getting it. It has been paid for in past years. Like there has been
special events, he said.
Not just special events.
That's the recurring contract, but that we have approved in the past to get traffic control out there with LCSO. That's one part of it.
Yeah.
The other part is having the people be able to do it from the LCSO, because they're not going to take, it's got to be people doing it on their off time.
Yeah.
Lee County Sheriff's deputies, they have to sign up.
Well, they have in the past though. They have,
but not all the time. I mean, last year when we did it during season, I would say 30% of the time there wasn't a deputy out there because there wasn't someone to fill that spot.
But I think people would be happy if 70% of the time there were LCSO deputies out there. Is that the contract doesn't kick in until a certain date?
Here's what it comes down to. Can we get another contract and do that forward? Sure. But should our taxpayers pay for that? This is
they have in the past.
Well, we did it last year because we had to do it last year. I mean, we can do it again this year. Again, if the resources are there from Lee County Sheriff's deputies to be able to fill those spots. Like I said, you can see the difference when we have people out there, whether it's our Rangers or the LCSO. The traffic is significantly more
moving it,
right? So it's got to be done. But we feel that it should be coming from FDOT. If they don't put the contract in place, then reimburse us.
But FDOT is not responsible for Crescent and Estero. You guys have always done that light.
Well, we could argue that. The reason there has to be traffic control there now is because there's no through traffic. And it's not because it's a town
because
project.
Because of their project. Yeah.
Well, but you have in past years had one here.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll argue this one. Have one here.
Have one where?
Right up at the corner here, where there's no traffic light.
Are you going to pay for it?
You guys have paid for it in the past. The number one complaint people have is traffic on this beach.
Here's an idea. Let's fix the light.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's an idea.
Who owns that light? The county or the state?
The town owns the light, but it's an interlocal
agreement.
Well,
fix the damn light, Dan.
Well, if you let me finish, I'll tell you who's in charge of fixing the light. We have an interlocal agreement with the county to maintain that light.
Yeah.
And we asked about the light at the crosswalk where people are at the base of the bridge. There used to be, now the pole's gone, so there's no crosswalk there anymore. But and this is not to throw the county under the bus, but we've pushed them to say, we need these two lights fixed.
All right, I'm going to go take some pictures of that light. If there's anyone want to volunteer for a fake crash at that light, I'll take pictures of that. I mean, that's the only way you get shit done around here is like you post pictures on social media so that they don't feel like they're being berated. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's true sometimes.
There's a lot of things that they have to do, but that
there's a lot of moving
Why does it seem like they don't give two shits about Fort Myers Beach, though? I mean, it sounded like the state has no clue what's going on with their own project.
I can't speak for the state.
I'm not asking you to, but would you agree with that? They don't know what's going on. They didn't even send their decision makers to your meting.
Well, that was upsetting, but
okay. Thank you very much.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah. No.
Are you going to move on to anything else?
Yeah.
Are we getting you wound up yet?
No.
Are you warm now?
No, people, their number one concern, not complaint, concern on Fort Myers Beach is that it takes them forever to get off the island, on the island, whatever. And if there are solutions, here's what you should do. Put a poll out on the town's website. Hey, are you okay if we spend $100,000 of our budget? We'll move it around from somewhere. Maybe we won't pay for fireworks next year. And we'll move it around and we'll put it in.
That was a cheap shot.
I know. I take it back. But you know what I'm saying? You could
He'll be
move
the
money.
first one screaming at the 4th of July.
Right.
Why don't you guys have
No,
fireworks?
please. I'm not I don't.
It's the
I could.
biggest thing that brings the people to the town.
It is not. No, you're an ass. You are an ass. I have never said that, and I can't believe you're
You know
doing
it's
that.
true.
It
You know
is
it's
not
true.
the number
He's
one
saying this
thing.
now and then next,
No,
a
it
month
is. You know-
before. How did you guys not make the decision?
You could have pulled money from somewhere else.
I didn't say that about the
What were you
fireworks.
thinking?
I think. Listen, and now I have to defend myself. I think people are,
We gotta
are
go up
too.
with some kind of bobblehead or like a.
What voice
like a
was that? I mean, where did you
jalapeno
come up with that
pepper
voice?
that's like exploding.
Do
or
I
a
sound like
ghost
that?
pepper.
Do I really sound like that?
Apparently
Sometimes,
you
yeah.
do.
Holy
You can't hear it
Christmas.
because you got your earmuffs
She's
on.
shaking. Yes, I do sound like that. I don't mean to sound like that. I need to use my radio voice once. And
And the hand gestures get going.
speaking of radio, this is what really bugs me about the radio industry, which I used to be in. Like, I'm driving down Estero Boulevard. I'm listening to Cat Country yesterday. I love country music. I'm listening to Cat Country. Of course, radio now, they have no local personalities. And so they pipe these people
Neither
in
does
from
this show.
they
Just
pipe people in from these different parts of the country, and they pretend like they know what's going on in the local community. So they send somebody in Arizona a sheet of paper with the names of the towns, and now they have these satellites where they're able to send all this audio down. So the lady's talking about, and I just want to send the song out to Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel and Estero. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we know you're from here. You say Estero. Like, she has no idea. Estero. No, that's what she said.
I was gonna
Estero.
say.
I'm like, Estero, where are you from, lady? I mean, Estero.
Well, it's like with living in Minnesota and Wisconsin. You always knew people weren't from there because they couldn't
couldn't-
pronounce the
well,
lake names.
It's
or,
impossible
and
to
then
Can
say.
you say anything
they didn't follow it up
positive
with
I
today?
know. I feel like I'm
Or-
being
oh.
negative today.
You are being negative. Your face is getting all red.
And I got a
Oh,
whiny
you know
voice
there.
now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, what were we talking
You betcha.
about?
Somebody's gonna send you like a.
What was the name of that
baby
page? I need to
bottle
join
in the
that
mail.
Facebook page that you
Yeah, the
found.
complaining page.
Yeah. So
No,
For
blow
those
that
who
thing
want to
up.
be part of the problem, not the
They
solution.
might, you keep talking about it. It
I
might
feel sick.
supersede your
I
followers. here.
know.
You might have more
I
on that
noticed
page.
they did get 5 followers
they?
after we mentioned it.
5.
I'm
That's
surprised
how
they
much
didn't get
pull
more.
we have.
Right?
So the other question I wanted to ask you about was, we had these first round of DOA meetings where La Ola went first, and then Sun and Fun went second, and then a couple other, I left after Sun and Fun. What is your opinion on how that first meeting with La Ola went?
Well, if I'm being honest, and I'll tell you exactly what I told Andy, I think there was a lot of wasted time. I mean, there was there were a lot of things said that didn't.
Hush came across the audience.
Yeah, it got really
Well,
quiet.
right ahead,
Yeah.
man. Lay it out
No,
there.
The whole we didn't know it was on wheels thing really set me off. Megan will tell you, I was out of that house in about 3 minutes when I heard that. How can we say that we didn't know it was on wheels? Everybody on the planet knew those things were on wheels, but that's the biggest issue I had was that the testimony that was provided by both sides now is being put in a written testimony for them to send in, and then it's just delayed it another month.
Yeah.
And that's where my biggest frustration came in is, this
So
whole,
let's
this whole
just
process is
backtrack on the first.
frustrating.
Well, backtrack on the first part of it. The wheels thing was part of the issue. Is that if FEMA says if you can get your trailer off in a light
duty truck.
duty truck, you're okay.
Right.
Well, you can't get the trailers that Tom has off in a light duty truck, but
Right.
he can get them off quickly in a bigger truck. So he's proven that. He's got a video of it. He showed the video. The town sent it to FEMA, and FEMA said, we don't care whether he can get it off. Get those things out of Times Square. We told you, you gave him a permit when you shouldn't have given him a permit. They have been crystal clear about that. And now we're in this unknown territory where, everybody loves La Ola. That's not the point. Everybody wants Tom to have La Ola in Times Square. But we're in this area where I even asked the town attorney before the meeting started, so what if this magistrate rules in favor of La Ola? So what? FEMA doesn't give a crap what this state administrative judge says, because FEMA is God. And the worst thing,
Well, for their program, yeah.
right? I mean, what will happen if the state administrative judge rules in favor of La Ola? Well, then the town has to appeal it against the ruling because you know
Or vice versa, yeah.
you know that FEMA wants all those things gone. Sun and Fun, the
Anything-
goods, all of
yes.
them. They want them all gone.
They do. They've been very clear about it. And the intent of giving those temporary permits after the storm was to give them 18 months to operate the business and move on. Everybody knew that intention. You could talk about everything else under the sun, but if you go back and watch a meeting, the intent was to allow 18 months. And then obviously Senate Bill 250, which has nothing to do with commercial properties, was passed. And there was a whole bunch of discussion about that. And at the end of the day, we had, as a council, made a decision a few months back that we would set the deadline as the 3-year anniversary of the hurricane, and every trailer had to be off the island. And it seemed to go over. Everybody understood that, it's been 3 years. It lines up residential side with Senate Bill 250, the commercial side. So everybody was kind of on board with it. FEMA didn't like that decision either. Obviously, we sent the letter on behalf of some of the businesses to try to allow them to stay. They said, no, we understand. We'll move forward. Where it goes from here, it's in the hands of the magistrate at this point. They're gonna make a ruling. We will abide by their ruling. Tom is a great guy. I mean, I'm sure he'll,
That's not the point. Everybody
Yeah.
agrees
Can I
with
just
that. Yeah.
Ask clarification. So just winding it back, you gave the temporary permit for 18 months.
Right.
And then the Senate,
Yes,
That's
it
what he
was.
said.
180 days. Sorry. Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't mean 18 months.
did
but
you said 18
I did.
months?
I meant
Okay.
180 days.
So
yes.
100, so I was like, I know I heard it somewhere.
And then they had to come back in for I think it was every 6 months, or even with the 180 days. It's 2.5 years ago, so my memory.
Right,
but
right,
I
right,
believe
right.
it was 180 days, and then every 6 months you had to come in to get it renewed.
And so were they doing that? Were they getting it renewed?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know that anybody came in to renew those, but I'd
So
have
what
to
is
ask
the
that.
rule then? What happens after that 180 days?
Well,
What
then
should have
your
happened?
permit you're in violation. You know,
Okay. And then why weren't they in violation then?
Well, the argument is there was, from what I heard on the magistrate, is that there's no end date on the permit. So this
But
is
it
this
says
is an attorney.
180
Well, in the
days.
ordinance, it clearly says 180 days. So whether or not there has to be an end date on the permit, I'm not a legal. That's
And the
something for
Senate Bill 250, that did or did not affect commercial properties?
nothing to do with commercial. It was all residential. Residential trailers for people to get back in their homes as they're rebuilding. And that was the intent of this whole thing, was to allow people to start doing something. Well, now we're 2.5, almost going to be close to 3 years after the storm. And if nobody has any plans to move forward with a permanent structure or a house, pretty good chance by now you're not going to do something. And it's not fair to the rest of the residents or the other businesses like this, or the other people that live next door to you. I mean, we don't want people living in their trailers for the rest of their lives. I mean,
Right.
that's not what we want, or operating their businesses out of trailers for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And Chris Primo and his family own the property that Laola is on. Tom doesn't own the property. Tom is at obviously the mercy of whatever happens with that property. Everybody wants him to be in Times Square. That's not in question. And he's doing everything he can. Everybody loves going there. It's the anchor right now in Times Square, but that is not the issue. What's that issue is,
And Chris is a great guy too, other than the fact I can't stand him because his Lions keep beating up on my Vikings.
all right,
But
we're not, please don't laugh at him when he talks football.
But no, Chris is a great
Yeah.
guy. Anything, if he's ever had an issue or the town has had an issue with
Yeah.
Chris, he and his family take care of it right away.
But,
So
but
they've been great partners.
the point I was trying to make was, what's at risk now is not so much the 25% discount of what people really need to realize now. And I don't think, and I said this to you the other day when we were talking on the phone, I don't think we've emphasized this enough. Being kicked out of the National Flood Insurance Program is way worse than
Devastating.
losing your discount.
It's devastating.
Here's what happens if you're kicked out of the program. A storm comes through. Let's say a storm comes through. Hopefully, God forbid, another storm ever comes through. If a storm comes through and does damage on Fort Myers Beach and you're not in the program, those big black trucks are not coming. You're on your own, and
Unless
that
we're paying
means
for
one
them,
thing:
right.
bankrupt Fort Myers Beach. That's what that means
Well, Ian would have bankrupted the entire county.
in one day.
The entire county. would
Right.
have
So
been
it doesn't have to be anything as big as Ian. It could be a much
Milton.
smaller storm
Well,
that.
the biggest expense after a storm is the debris cleanup.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
it's just a fact.
Yeah.
And if we didn't have the assistance from the federal government to be able to do that, that would be damning. And we can't let that happen. Let's
Yeah.
just put
So
it that
take
way.
personalities out of the picture. We love everybody that has a business and trying to make money during season. If they can get through a season without getting in trouble from FEMA, great. But take all those personalities out of the business, out of the conversation. What you're talking about is if the administrative judge rules in favor of somebody, and FEMA still says, even during a Trump administration, listen, you have these things in a high velocity zone. You're prone to hurricanes. You got how many in the last couple of years? A lot.
Well, I think
You're not listening to us, and they're pointing the finger at you.
and that's fine. And I will firmly stand behind. I think it is the job of local governments to push back on bigger governments because things change, times change, technology, everything changes. And to say this is the policy and we won't even revisit it when someone can show you, and that's why I believe the council voted unanimously to send that letter
Yeah.
on behalf.
He can clearly get off
Because
the island in
someone-
4
someone
hours.
took the time to show that they could do something. Now, we can argue about they shouldn't have been back there after the storm, and that whole 9 yards. But the fact that he spent money and other people spent money
Mhm.
to try to make their business survive after the most devastating hurricane the state has ever seen, and try to do it within the rules that they interpreted were the rules.
Mhm.
I think that if you're a higher government, to not at least look at that and say, well, maybe it's not perfect, but I
But
think
they're
we
not
can
looking
adjust
at it, is what everybody's
But
They're
so
saying,
are
not.
you
right?
They're
They're not
suggesting
looking
that
at
they
it.
look at it on a case-by-case
But
basis or
until
make a
well, no,
change,
well,
a full change
I think we
to
can all
allow
agree that
them on there?
FEMA has major policy issues that need to be revisited, in my opinion.
God bless California.
And-
They're
and
about to experience the same thing you all did here in
Yeah,
Florida.
I feel horrible. You talk to people in Madeira Beach, and I talk to people all the time that you can hear in their voices that they're doing exactly what we did, and you think you have an answer, and they're making decisions based on what they need to do to protect their community, and they're going to pay for those. They're going to pay for them down the road, just like we did, because we made decisions to try to keep this island moving forward.
Have you gotten any indication from anybody on the Republican side that says, "Listen, we're gonna make it right. We
None,
know
none.
that Kevin Guthrie might be the FEMA
No.
head of FEMA. I mean, and we're gonna. I mean that I can't even see with an administrative change that they would get that granular on a small island.
7
I
months.
mean,
Yeah,
with
I
so
mean,
much stuff going on in
right,
California and
right,
different
right.
major
Well,
disasters.
North Carolina.
The overall message from FEMA is to protect against recurring damages, right?
Right.
That's not going to change.
And that's not going to change, nor should it, because that is the mission. You want to be more resilient. But I think if someone has an innovative idea that can fit within those parameters, why wouldn't you at least take a look at it? Now, we do have people on the island that are going before the magistrate that are totally violating everything about it. We're talking specifically about Loyola, but there's other people that are not doing what Loyola did, and it's
Because
and it's
most people
horrible.
care about him staying, or he's.
But the
Let's
thing
be honest,
is
FEMA's
if
made him the
you-
poster child. They've included him in the paperwork.
Of
They've
course,
made him the
of
poster
course.
child.
But if you change it and allow, make it
Well, we can't. We can't.
but if
change
they
it.
change it,
Yeah.
if they change it, then you have people that don't follow those rules.
There's always going to be someone that pushes the envelope. We've seen that. That's why
But
we got
this
magistrate.
way, they're safe to not allow any of it. I mean,
But then you see, I've seen it going around on social media. You see down in Keys, they've got containers on trailers that are in a high hazard flood zone. But
How do they get
they're-
away with that?
Because they could be pulled away with a light duty truck.
Yeah. So what's okay?
I
So
can't speak for the Keys
Yeah.
and how they get away with it, but
so where do you think it? Okay, I did want to ask you this question again because you
did
have
or
said
didn't?
that if you had to make the decision over again, you would make the same decision. This was
Yes.
maybe a month or so ago to allow the businesses to do this. Would you, knowing now everything that you know, I know 2020 hindsight, would you still say yes, you would let them do it knowing what
I would-
happened?
I would still vote today to allow the temporary use of trailers. Absolutely, I would do that again today, because if we wouldn't have done that, I can't even imagine where this island would be.
True.
So
True.
now
with
what?
any
now
caveats
knowing
to
what
that?
knowing what I know now, would I react or do things differently after the issuance of those permits? 100%. 100%, I would do things differently.
You mean try and get them out faster?
No, tell them I would have
Been
started
more
the process
clear.
sooner. I would have started the process of, because people, once they're there, some people just don't want to leave. They're
Yeah.
not going to leave. That, it costs a lot of money to do some of the things
Yes.
these businesses and homeowners are going through. So some of them are just not going to leave, and they're going to be defiant. I think we could have been better at starting the process sooner
Mhm.
than what we did. But, yes, I would make the same decision to allow the use, but because FEMA actually allows the use for 180 days of temporary trailers in a high hazard, but not in a high hazard flood zone. That's why we never got any trailers from FEMA, because we allow the temporary use of things, but only, oh, wait, you're in a flood zone. Never mind.
Yeah.
So
And they didn't know
So
what
they
one
wouldn't
hand was telling the other hand with that.
Would they have allowed? Ugh,
No,
would they
they-
have agreed with what you did
I,
because
No,
it's
they
a high
said no.
hazard?
They've said no.
I can't speak for FEMA, but I would have to say no, just because of the fact that they didn't bring any trailers that were promised to the island, to the people that they promised them
So
to,
if it's a
because
no,
they realized their policy
gotta
was.
go.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
And I think had we, in all fairness, and if you want to call this a dig on the town councilor or whatever, but I think in all fairness, we knew after that, we knew it was 180 days. We should have pushed the envelope a little bit more in getting people to leave earlier. That's the mistake I believe we made. I don't think it was the fact that we allowed them. I think FEMA understands that. I think the state government understood that. But I don't think we did a great job of heeding the warning.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you was, the town has a bunch of
Thank you.
equipment on the beach. Looks like a Connex box or something doing the beach renourishment. Is that okay?
Where is that? I don't know.
When the contractor has a big Connex box out there where they're doing the beach renourishment, don't
Where
they?
is it at? Not that I'm aware of.
Oh,
Where
okay.
is it at?
Never mind.
There was one on Newton Park. There
We'll
was
give
one
him
on
a
Newton Park.
retry.
I
but
swear,
it
I
was
thought
gone.
there was one out here when I went out there and did a walk around. They had equipment. They
There
had
may
equipment, right?
There
Lola.
was.
Yeah.
It was, but it was gone now.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And there was one at Newton Park.
Oh,
that's
so
gone
they
also.
moved it for the same reasons.
Yeah, it's got
Oh,
to
okay,
go. We had to
gotcha.
tell the contractor you can't do it. I mean,
Oh, gotcha.
there's it's got to be able to be removed by a light duty truck. So none of those could be removed. Seagate removed their Connex trailer that they had before the storm.
Yeah. What about the sheriff's trailer? What's going on with that? Is that legal?
That's a good question. I asked Andy that the other day. I don't know. I have
Thank
not
you.
seen. I mean, it's not a huge trailer. It looks like they could pull it off with a fairly light duty truck, but
Really?
it's
That's a
definitely
pretty
on
big
wheels.
trailer. It doesn't look like a mom's trailer.
Hey, they can get it off with that swamp buggy because that's
They
They were,
what's
the,
taking anything.
they were one of the first ones off the
Yeah, they
island.
were.
They
Yeah.
were gone.
And they had like
Yeah.
50 people over there getting it right off the
Yeah,
island.
they
And
had-
I'm not,
they had 'em gone.
please, I'm not picking on the sheriff's department. I love the sheriff's department. I was just wondering.
No,
It's
they
a
had,
trailer.
Yeah, they had a lot of what looked like
I love the sheriff's department.
it looked like workers that are maybe don't have the freedom you and I have. We're out there helping. Getting that,
That's a great thing to have them do. We're sending them
It's
down. Maybe
happening.
they can direct traffic in their jumpsuits.
Maybe, yeah. We were talking about it before the storm. People that get in trouble for and I'm sure the sheriff's department has already thought about this, but we were talking
Looting.
before the show. No, if people that get in trouble for doing stupid things with animals, like tying them up to
Oh.
trees and leaving them behind, when they get incarcerated, they should have to go work at Nan's Ranch
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
a year.
I was thinking of
and
worse
scoop
things.
poop and feed animals. You hate animals so much, your punishment is you're going to take care of
The
them.
lady that was on the show yesterday was telling
Yeah.
us that she had a dog that they had to get an operation for because the dog was burned. And I'm like,
Mhm.
how does a dog get burned? Like, unless the dog's in a fire, there. I mean, well, no, people burn dogs. I'm like, okay,
Oh,
that
yeah,
person
that-
needs to be tied to a tree.
A special place in
And
hell
I
for
mean,
that person.
can you imagine if we tied somebody to a tree in the public square like that? How many people would line up to?
If I were you, I wouldn't stand too still. You might be the first one.
I've never burned a dog.
No.
What are you talking about?
No, you said
I love
imagine if we
dogs.
tied people to a tree in
Oh,
Times Square.
I see.
If you stand
trying to
still
be
too
funny.
long, you might be.
For people doing stupid stuff, you're
Dan,
going to be front of the line.
Let me ask you a question that totally frustrates me and everybody
All
that
right, then you gotta
watches.
let 'em go.
Okay, let's hear
Well,
it.
let them go, dear. We're having a great time. It's 3 minutes. We're 3 minutes over. I'm gonna have to alert our affiliates down the line that we're gonna run long on
Do
our
they
show
have
today.
someone-
We have no
today?
affiliates, just so you guys know. The town's Wi-Fi, and if you tell me it's because we're moving into a new building, I'm going to lose my shit right here. The town starts a council meeting, and for the first 15 minutes, all you see is this loop going around. I feel like I'm back in Rogerville, where that town manager didn't give a crap who was watching the meetings, and he would never focus on fixing the Wi-Fi. There's more people that care about your meetings now than ever before because of the projects that are coming up, and you can't get Wi-Fi to work. Why?
Well, that's an age-old question, not just in the town hall, but as someone that has been in that space for a long time. I'll give you a quick story, not to sidetrack. I'll go back to your question. But last night we were with some friends, and we were watching the game at their house, And I said, are you streaming this through the television? He's got a frame television, very beautiful, nice frame television on the wall. And he's like, yeah. I said, have you ever had any issues with it buffering? He goes, never. I've had it for 2 years. I've never had an issue with it buffering. You can't make it up. 3 times during the game, the spinning wheel of death started. And he's like, this has never happened in 2.5 years.
So it's your fault.
So it's evidently my fault. It's my fault. So
Dan, okay,
yeah,
listen, calm
There is a
down,
plate
calm down,
technically in
lady.
my head.
Plate
Calm
in his
down.
head.
I have a
Listen,
star to prove it. There is
Dan,
a plate in my head. But
one time out of 2 years, your friend's football game was spinning wheel. Every
My point-
single
my-
town council
it's
meeting.
not every
He's saying
single
it's
town
him.
council meeting.
Bullshit right now. We're
It's
you
not
know
every
dear,
single one.
Dan, I'm
You know
calling
this
you
is
dear.
something we can go back and look at and prove,
Yeah,
right?
no, because you guys record it and then you upload the right video while
You don't, right?
No,
You
I
can
don't.
Go back
I-
to your feed.
That's true. I do have all your
So
feeds.
go back through
But
your
what
feeds
it-
over the
what it
last 3
seems
months.
like to me-
You do the work.
Listen,
I'm too busy. I
Dan,
don't have time.
What are you busy doing?
You-
Watching football? I mean, come
What
on.
are you busy watching
Yeah.
rabbits and looking for
And-
baby pigeons?
And baby pigeons and squirrels and
Baby pigeons do not exist. No, Dan. What seems to
They're with
happen
the
is
unicorns.
it
Yeah,
almost is
exactly.
like your Wi-Fi needs to warm up, like an old car used to need to warm up. The first 15 to 20 minutes is a spinning wheel, and then your recent 8-hour meetings that you've
Yeah.
had have the next 7 hours are fine. It's almost like why don't they start the internet
Well,
early?
and I'm not sitting behind the thing there, so I don't know if it's specifically the internet causing it. I know we've had issues through the YouTube channel. It doesn't buffer right, and I mean,
Thank
I'm
you,
out of
Greg,
that,
because I know we watch it together. Greg is saying it's definitely every meeting, but the thing,
well, and I've also heard, in all fairness, I've heard Greg say, "Give me 10 minutes or something, and I could fix it." Greg, BS. You know it as well as I do. Technology's technology. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it
in
works.
the new building,
Now, if it's doing it every single meeting, I don't know. I'm not
in the
watching
new
every
building,
meeting.
let's just
Is
give the
that
town.
challenge accepted, Greg?
I wouldn't challenge. And by the way, he lost the election. I don't know if you guys been paying attention. He lost the
You
election.
never bet on technology, because if he actually says yes, I can fix it and it'll never happen again, he will eat those words.
Well,
and he
I wouldn't
knows
say
it.
never. I don't
What's
think
he
people would
saying?
mind if it was once in a while, but it is every meeting. And it was the LPA meeting the other day, which really frustrates me because the LPA meeting is so important right now. They're all so important. But when
Because
I'm guessing it's the trailer. Let's just say it's the old school. It's the trailer. You shouldn't have to spend extra money
It
in the
shouldn't.
trailer. You're going to be in the new building in March.
I would
Can you
assume.
guarantee?
I would assume.
Can you let
that
me
our
finish the
service-
question, please?
Sure.
Please,
Sure.
just calm down
I
over
know.
there.
I know what your question is going to be, and I'm going to tell you no.
In the new building, you're going to be down
see it.
further where there's nobody. There's nobody down. It's like
they're see it.
there's no except for Dave and his losing football bets. So there's like tumbleweeds down at the other end of the island. So I'm guessing your internet's going to be 100% functional, totally fine. Like you're going to have new equipment. Can you give me a little spot, just a little yellow spot on the side when I come cover the meetings? I have my own little desk. They used to do that for me when I was at the council meeting in Oneonta. I'd have my own little desk.
Seems like, yeah. I mean, the rent might not be very cheap, but sure, we could.
Of course,
we could
nothing's
get to
cheap on this island.
No,
No, seriously, about the internet.
Here's the problem with the internet and any technology. Any technology, you can only
What did he
control
say? I can't read
once
it.
you receive the signal from the internet service provider. Then, if it's on your side, but we can't control if Comcast goes down. And I'm not saying that's what's happening, but so to guarantee that you can fix the internet forever and it's never going to happen, no one can ever make that guarantee because we don't have control over Comcast or CenturyLink or whomever is supporting your or
Dan,
Verizon or
okay.
T-Mobile.
When I
or-
watch the Lee County board meetings,
Mhm.
never happens. When I watch the Lee County delegation meeting, nothing happened. It only happens during the town's meetings. Are
Sure.
you saying there's some kind of infrastructure issue on the beach?
well, of
There's a
course there
baby
is.
pigeon back
Of
there
course
messing
there is.
everything up.
I mean, at the end
Knew
of the
it.
day, I would hope when we get into our permanent building that we don't have as many issues that we're having now. I'm not going to make excuses, but we are in a temporary trailer.
Right.
You know, we are
That's what I'm
dealing with
chalking it
temporary
up to.
things, and is it perfect? No.
They're back there
Trust
connecting
me, you
wires
think-
before the
And to be fair,
But I appreciate everybody letting us know that it's not working, so we could try to address it as fast as we can.
and this is, I feel like such an ass because as soon as every meeting starts, I'm texting not everyone, but I'm texting 3 council members. Hey, the video is spinning. And the minute that I hit send, it stops spinning, of course, and that happens all the time. And then it's good for 5 minutes. And then right when somebody's about to say something that I think is going to be useful, which is a lot of the time when it comes to these developments, it starts spinning again. But anyway,
can you say anything
Here's-
positive?
well, we
Yes.
have
I
brought it.
can.
We have brought it up to our IT. I don't remember his name. It was Jacob. I don't know the new person's name now, but I've brought it up to him and say we're getting messages that the meeting is spinning, and he's looking at his thing and his is working just fine.
Do it
So
again.
Okay, so we're lying is what?
no,
what,
I'm
I
not
mean,
saying you're lying. I'm just saying you can't control what's coming in. You can control what's going out, but you can't control how you're receiving
I can't
it.
control
I
what's
gotcha.
going out.
Yeah. So I do want to say, to be fair, when the old town hall was was still standing, the town did invest in a lot of brand new technology
Yes.
and the meetings, because I bitched about how Roger didn't give a shit for years. And then
It was an
the
expensive
town
upgrade,
finally
yes.
upgraded everything. And of course, it all got lost in the storm. So, I mean, and it was great.
It was
Everything
great,
was
yeah.
perfect.
It
They had
was
different
nice.
camera angles and all that.
Yeah.
And the internet never screwed
And we're
up.
looking to hopefully have that same thing in the new town hall. One of that company that did the work is one of the bidders that is bidding on doing the work for the new dais area. So, or for the chamber. So we fully understand that this is important, that people need to hear it. But I can't 100% guarantee that it won't ever happen again, because we can't control the ISP.
All right. A question from Randy. Where is the sand replenishing? Where's the beach renourishment at?
They're
Can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, if you actually go to the town's Facebook page, every week Chad is putting out an update. He just did another one. They're working on the south end now to try to get that done before the bird nesting season starts. So once they're done, Ed's going to look for the baby pigeons.
Yes. Make sure the pigeons are safe down on the beach too.
Ed, stand
He
close.
needs a
The
carrier
pigeon's smaller
pigeon
than it
for his
appears.
bladder.
Sorry, that was probably inappropriate, but no. So they moved down to the south end now, and they're working on that. Once they get that done and the bird season nesting season starts, they'll move back to the north end. But Chad does a great job. Chad Schutz does a great job of keeping that moving. And there's a lot of moving things, as we heard last week. There's a big diesel pump that is outside a building, and trying to maneuver where we can move that to make it as pleasant as we can. We certainly want to get this done as fast as we can to be less impactful as we can.
Has anyone got any glasses here?
No, here, I don't know over there, but so it's moving forward. And if you haven't had a chance to go out and check out where it's been done, it's
I
great.
got it.
You got it? You got
I
it
got-
figured
I
out?
got the
Another
message.
question? Okay.
The mayor said he was going to make a business announcement. Is he ready to announce? I'm wondering if he's going to announce that can't read the rest. So go ahead.
You want the glass? Well, you got to get the whole question. Who's got some cheaters?
It's like a
Here.
okay. Announced that he's starting a beach tram, like he mentioned in the other show.
Oh no! So the beach tram that we're talking about, because I've had people ask me about that. I was a quick story on it. We were watching a game at La Di Da one day, and there was four gentlemen actually, that were standing there, and they introduced themselves to me very nice. They had just finished golfing, and I said, "Well, thanks for frequenting the establishments." And two of them were locals, two of them were not. And they're like, "Yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be the last time we come to the north end until after season, because we just don't want to sit in the traffic." And I've heard that 1,000 times, but for some reason it got me thinking, what can we do to try to help people that are locals, or anybody that's not, that want to traverse the island without having to sit in traffic? And I thought about my roots from Minnesota, growing up baling hay, and I thought, well, why couldn't we take like a hay wagon, if you will, or like the trolley, put it on the beach and use one of our local vendors that do jet skiing, parasailing, whatever. Why couldn't we use one of them if they're interested in doing it? They're already licensed to do what they're doing. It would be after the hours of their operation. It could help alleviate or help them make some money. So I had an idea of, let's get a couple of wagons. They're fairly inexpensive. And during the peak hours, we can just have 2 or 3 of them traversing the beach, to take people from the north end to the south end, and they can get on kind of like the trolley, but it's got the only way it works is if you do the entire 7-mile island, right? It can't be just sections. So the council members agreed that they thought that was a good idea. So that's what we're looking into. So I think that's what they're talking about. The business part of it. So the attorney told us on Monday that she's drafting, or almost done drafting, the legal documents to put out to the vendors that we have on the beach to see who, if anyone, is willing to do it. My hope is that we can get this moving fairly quickly before the end of season to see if it works. If it doesn't work, the wagons can be used for other things.
Oh yeah, this your wagon idea that you're trying to get?
Well, they were asking about the question.
Yeah.
The business thing that we're talking about. So we're expanding into. It's nothing major, but we're going to soon hopefully be expanding into just not just golf carts, but a lot of the people that we've talked to in the short-term rental business are starting to move away from wanting to have bikes and chairs and umbrellas and all that because they get beat up and lost, and it's just they're grungy. So we're gonna expand into the beach equipment rental business, bikes, chairs, stuff like that. So if you're coming to stay in an Airbnb or something, that we'll deliver them to the house so it's ready for you, and we'll maintain them, clean them, keep the insurance on it. That's the biggest thing is the insurance. So we've already got that with the bikes that we have now. So we're starting off with one company right now to see how it goes. And if it goes as we hope it will, then we'll expand even further. But that's the expansion.
Does anybody from the audience have any questions for the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, the outstanding mayor of Fort Myers Beach? No questions? Any other questions
Nothing.
from here?
Wow.
Well, there was one thing on there that
My wife has one.
How far?
no.
She does?
Suggested.
What was the question?
Well, it was more of a comment about that.
There's got to be some questions on there.
Yeah. How far
The
down?
reason that you lost the discount was not just the trailers.
No.
It was not just people doing work without permits. It was those two things and more.
Yeah, there was a list of 5 things that they
Okay.
had on there. 2 of the 5 things they didn't feel that we had come into compliance with in time for the deadline. One of them was the permitted structures that they feel shouldn't have been permitted in the first place, that they were not removed by the November 18th deadline.
Right.
The other was what they called a crosswalk.
Right.
And essentially what that is, that was in our plan that basically said, we're going to go and check every house and make sure, and I'm paraphrasing, but essentially that we're going to make sure that permitted work was done, or if it wasn't done. The issue that we had with that, and the reason, in my opinion, we weren't able to complete that, is a few months before the deadline, we were given about a 1,300 property list that FEMA had paid out money to.
Right.
And they wanted us to go verify that everything that they did was on the up and up. We weren't able to get, even if we would have got that list the day after the storm, we wouldn't have had time. You would have had to clear 2 houses per day. Imagine the work it would take. So, and it's not making an excuse, but that was one of the reasons why it wasn't just
Right.
Lola. It wasn't just about one thing. It wasn't about,
you went way beyond.
they've actually
but
told us that
that's-
we did a great
that's
job
good.
of going back and going after the people that didn't, because we've been telling you since day one, if you're doing work without a permit, we're going to catch you. We may not catch you today, we may not catch you tomorrow, but you're going to get caught at some point. And people have learned a very costly lesson that they should have just got the permit in the first place. But we totally understand why right after the storm, some people just don't like to wait, and they want to get this stuff done and get it cleaned up, and they'll come back and get the permit later and go through that. We wish they wouldn't have done that, but they did. But most people that did come into compliance. They did go get a permit. They did get inspected. So
What's going on?
It wasn't just the trailers to answer that question.
I know we're running way long, and I want to end it. But what's going on with that grant program where some of the folks on the island were waiting for their money for their houses to be raised, or has the money come
guess they're
through
still
yet?
waiting.
The money is not.
Okay, that's a FEMA program.
Yes.
Now this is FEMA claiming they're going to help people. Over 2 years
I know,
later.
dear, we've been over
And now
that. We know they're not
it's
getting
just
it.
the whole thing's a nightmare, and I
Mhm.
really feel so bad for the people of California.
Well,
How do water hydrants run out of water? I mean, seriously? I mean, can you? The only thing I want politics wise, I want to say about this: just imagine Governor DeSantis standing in front of a camera, the way that crazy mayor stood on the tarmac in that airplane and didn't answer questions. When a hurricane comes through Florida, you see DeSantis and Kevin Guthrie and those people. And yes, they're doing a little butt kissing when they say, "I want to thank you for your leadership." But you know where everything is going
It's
on
no
with
nonsense,
this state.
right.
And then you watch that dumbass governor of California. The lady wanted information. He was standing there pretending like Biden was going to call him on the phone. And she's like, "Okay, well, put him on speaker. I would like to talk to him," which I thought was the greatest thing. Like, yeah, I would love to talk to the president to tell him how my city is burning and we're running out of water. I mean, the whole thing is bizarre watching. Because the reason I bring this up, if DeSantis acted like they did, his face would be all over the national media like he was Satan. Instead, you just see excuses being made for those people out there, and their communities are burning. It's insane.
It's certainly not a good look when your fire chief admits that they were let down or they didn't get all the stuff that they wanted. That's that's pretty damning to have someone that in that position speak out like that. She tried to dodge it, but she finally just came out and said yes. So
Yeah,
it's
cut $17 million from a fire department when your number one issue that you have to deal with is fires.
Well,
It's
you
just
know,
sick.
it's obviously different than a hurricane, but we certainly understand the devastation that they're seeing. I mean, when you look at before and after pictures, it's almost creepy.
Oh man.
You know, the difference is, you know, we had to deal with it for, you know, it was in and out in one day. They're continuing to deal with it there, and
Yeah.
they're continuing. You know, innocent people are getting hurt and losing their
Yeah.
lives, and it's
Horrible.
you know, it's horrible. I know. I just read that Governor DeSantis is committed resources to go
course
and
he
help,
has.
and that's the way it should be. I mean, I don't know that we
It's
had
up to
anyone.
16 people.
Yeah, I don't know if we had resources coming from California to help us, but you know,
I don't know
think
if
that's
this-
good leadership.
I don't know if this story is true, but I was reading something where it said that there were fire trucks. I don't know if it was from Colorado or something that were trying to come through, and California stopped them so they could test them for emissions. I heard that story. Now I don't know if it's true. If it is,
I
it's
don't know.
crazy
I
that
don't
they
know.
would stop any fire truck from getting anywhere near California.
No, you
and-
see the videos of some of these, and it's just like, man, you feel for the
Total
people that's
devastation.
just
Yeah.
So Adam Carolla and James Woods were on the Megyn Kelly podcast, and it's on YouTube. You can watch it. That interview that those two lost their homes, James Woods and Adam Carolla, and he was saying that, you know, you get a text. That's how they do it in California. You get a text that you have like 2 minutes to evacuate because the fire's coming to your house or something. And I thought, my gosh, I don't know what's worse. In Florida, you get like 48 hours, 72 hours, sometimes longer to say, okay,
Right.
you have to evacuate. You can grab whatever you can grab.
it's like tornadoes
Yeah.
in Tornado
Right,
Alley. I mean,
right.
you don't. It's
Right.
not like
You
you
don't-
get a 2-week notice.
But when
No.
at least in Florida, you get to take a little bit more stuff if you,
Right.
but you never,
And take the time to protect
but-
your
right,
property.
but what's
if
worse,
that's
like,
possible.
in both cases, you come back and your house is gone. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
how do
you
you
know-
emotionally get over the fact that everything that you ever owned is gone, except
Well-
for what you had on your person.
And what's unfortunate, but it's a reality, and whether it's a wildfire, tornado, hurricane, you know, and they talk about evacuations. Imagine if they would have evacuated 2 days ahead of time, and then the winds died down, and you know nothing. They got crucified that they uprooted all these people, and then they get yelled at because they didn't do it fast enough. It's really a no-win situation, and you know at the point, when do you heed on the side of caution, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when you
Mhm.
you know that's what we try to do with Milton.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
you know we got out ahead of it before everybody else did, and it wasn't that
Well,
we
you
wanted
make
everybody
the
to be
best
gone. but-
decision you can with the information you have
right,
at,
and then you
hand.
deal with the darts as they
Yep.
come in. And
Yeah, even Sheriff Marcino said the reason that nobody died during Milton was because in this time around, everybody
People
left.
got
People
out,
left.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
left,
Yeah.
and we gave them enough time. I mean,
Yes.
I would think I think the entire county did the right thing, and you know, he did the warning. We had discussions about do we wait to see what everybody. You know, we're our own
You guys
entity.
are
We
out
got
front
we
of it,
got to
yeah.
make our decisions, and we got to move on. And
Yep.
if it was the wrong decision, then we'll eat. You know, we'll take that. We'll take
Yeah.
that criticism. But I feel better knowing that, you know, an hour after we came back on the island, we were able to start cleanup because people left. They
Right.
took the warning seriously, and
Got out.
hopefully that continues into the future if we ever have to do it again.
No storms next season.
No storms for the next
season.
20
Please,
seasons,
please.
30
We need
seasons.
No
That's just
storms.
no storms. But
We want to see some
you know,
more
it's going to
rebuilding.
be, it's, you know, coming into next season, I'm sure people are going to be, you know, a little bit worried, and you'll learn a little bit more with every storm. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but people are learning, and, you know, let's
I don't
hopefully
know
we
how
don't have
many-
to rebuild our houses.
I've
4
run
times,
into a
5
few
times.
people in the last few weeks that have said, this is the first time I've come down since Ian. I can't believe how things look. And I'm in the back of my head, I'm saying, thank
Yeah.
God you're seeing the way things look right
Wow.
now.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
it's funny. We went to Junkanoo last week, and you know now more people are coming back for season, and we didn't even make it inside the downstairs building. We were just meeting some friends to have dinner, and this guy stopped me. I don't know who he was, from Adam, and he was very thankful of all the work that, you know, the council and the staff and everybody have done. And he's like, "This is the first time we've been down since the storm. Our condo hasn't been ready, so we just haven't come
Right.
down." And he goes, "I can't believe the amount of progress that you've made." Now, granted, 20 minutes earlier, I got an email from someone saying, "What's taking so long? Build, baby, build. What's going on?" So, you know, it's those kind of things. And then a few hours later, someone walked up and basically said the same thing. We came down right after the storm. Now we're down, and to see the progress that's been made, we've decided we didn't know until we came down 2 days ago whether or not we were just going to sell our property or build. And to see the progress, we've decided we're going to build back. So
Nice.
that's what you like to hear. That's what
Yeah.
makes you feel like you're doing the right things. But there's
You
gonna be
can't please
naysayers.
everybody.
No,
For sure.
as long as people are building houses, we'll be back.
Yeah. All right.
right.
Did you miss anything that you want to make sure the peoples know?
No, did you see any pigeons on your walkabout?
We're getting a carrier
I'm telling
pigeon
you,
for your
there's going to be a national search for baby pigeons.
I think one just put a white spot on your yellow truck.
By the way, if anybody that's new to it just coming down, if you haven't had a chance to look at that paddle next to the TV up here, that is how high the water came up during Hurricane Ian. So you should try and get a selfie in front of that thing so that you can see how high the water was.
Jump up
And
high.
they used to, after the storm, they used to have the TVs out here that would actually show what the street looked like.
Yeah.
If Peter's listening, it'd be nice if we could get one TV back out there to just show
Yes.
that as a remembrance.
Yeah.
I know people don't want to see it, but to me, it's a reminder when people tell you, you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also a reminder of, okay, this is what it used to look like 2
And
years
this is
ago.
how
And
far
now
it's
look at
come.
how great
Yeah,
it
sure.
looks now.
Yeah.
And the other
I don't
thing
think
is
people, if they would have saw what this section right here by Bayside Park looked like,
all
the
the
day after
debris
the
from
storm.
all of Times Square was sitting right here.
yeah, the pillars that
I
were
have
at Bayside Park were
thousands of
basically like
pictures.
a beaver dam. And it just,
Yeah, we do.
Yes. And so the other thing is, if you have a chance, stop by SOB. SOB is now being run by the same folks at Wahoo Willie's and Snug Harbor. So if you can stop over there.
great
And-
crab cakes.
Yes. Yes. All right, Dan,
All right,
thank you so
Thank
much. I know
you.
you want to mention
Yep.
this before I read the
Yep.
ads. Big hand for the mayor. But folks, they have a new menu here, so Kim's going to mention it. Go ahead. What? What?
You just can't let me have one thing. It's like,
Hurry up, read
I
it.
know you want to mention that before you go. Oh, now hurry up. Now hurry up.
Come on, let's go. People
So-
want to get out of here.
Wahoo Willie's has a new menu, new brunch menu. And I think we get the same breakfast bagel all the time. But we did see someone here get the fried avocado. That looked super, super yummy. They now have omelets, build your own omelets. So please come on down, check them out. They have their new menu. They have great servers. It's a nice environment when he's not sitting here. So come on down.
Thank you very much, wife. Big hand for my wife of 38 years. She's a joy to live with and just to be around because she's so pretty. All right, folks, before you go, I need to tell you about our sponsors. So please don't hang up the phone because you know this is the best part of the show when I tell you about our sponsors. And if you're rebuilding your house, you want to consider Power Block Builders. Dear wife, pay attention, please. We have customers. Power Block Builders has over 35 years of structural experience. That's the key word, Jamie, structural, because you know what happens when you get a dumbass trying to build your house. It falls the fuck down. That's what happens. Your house falls down in the sand, and then you got just little tiny pieces of wood laying in the dirt, and that's what you got to live in. So don't call the people that build a house that falls down. Call Power Block Builders. Over 35 years of structural experience, 7+ years in the business, that has been a reputable island builder. 7 years on Fort Myers Beach since Hurricane Ian. They've been building houses. They have Meet the Builder Days, and they have a showroom that you can go check out, a 4,500 square foot showroom. It's a luxury showroom, 10 minutes from the beach. Call Power Block Builders and build a blocky ass house so it stays firm during storms. I don't know why I'm cursing so much. Maybe because she left and now I can say whatever I want to say. 239-849-1919. 239-849-1919. Power Block Builders. When we did our 5K race, Lisa from the Root Trim Company saved our butts because the mayor, who was ready to provide 2 golf carts to shuttle people back and forth from Times Square to Diamond Head, got stuck in Minnesota because of the weather. And so Lisa stepped right up to the plate and helped out because her and her husband really care about the community. And we appreciated her stepping up with her golf cart and sending people over from Times Square to the resort. And I want to tell you that you should stop by their food truck over next to Norm's Beach parking lot. They're there a Thursday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to sunset, so they're open right now. They have expanded hours coming at the end of this month. Live music today and every Saturday. Come soak up the island vibe and enjoy fresh, no-licious grinds inspired by flavors of the North Shore, and that is the Hawaiian fusion cuisine. Thank you, Lisa, and your magnificent husband. And of course, last but not least, our friends at the Island Pancake House, everybody, over at the Seagrape Plaza, serving breakfast and lunch, open daily 7:30 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. And they're willing to stay open longer if you want to drink scotch with your pancakes, because they have a full friggin' bar at the Island Pancake House. They're locally owned and operated. They serve whatever you ask. If you ask for 4 egg whites and a piece of bacon and a bagel with peanut butter, they'll make it for you. And, of course, they have a fabulous menu. The Island Pancake House, we're going to have Brian back on the show in a few weeks to talk about how they weathered the storm and opened up right away down there at the Seagrape Plaza. They are the only business open in the Seagrape Plaza because they have a dumbass for a landlord. But that's a whole another story for a different time. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for coming to Wahoo Willie's. And go Packers. Oh, go Ohio State. Go Notre Dame. Nobody cares about football in this crowd. Bye-bye.